Let's take a look at cut planes for slabs and roof slabs in AutoCAD architecture. Now this is part 3 of a 3-part series on cut planes. I'm obviously not covering cut planes for every object, but I may get into cut planes of other objects in future videos. But mostly this has been about walls, doors, windows, and now we'll take a look at slabs and roof slabs, the primary objects, and often the objects you want more control or more knowledge about, cut planes so you can get the look that you need in your documents. Now before I get started with the slabs and the roof slabs, I wanted to do a summary of the previous 2 videos on the windows in walls. This is a very common scenario that I have on the screen where I have a bathroom situation. I'm going to put in a vent and light high window and it's going to disappear. I'm sure you've encountered something like that. And I want to show you just how I deal with it, even though I've covered all the fancy ways of doing it. Probably the nicer ways of doing it. I'm going to show you just my quick fix for this. So I'm going to bring in a window from our product in a wood wall. I'm going to use a double glider here, and I'm just going to pop it in right here. Now our windows have an inside and outside, so see the little switch here, the part with the little wedge on it, that's the interior side of the trim. So if I pop it out here by accident, I should pay attention, and I'll just zoom in here and I'll do a flip on it. So now that's the interior side, that's the exterior side. So I'll go over here on the side. Its width is 4. I'm going to make the height 18 and we'll see it disappear right away. All right, so this is probably something you've encountered. Now there are numerous ways that you can get in here and work on the cut plane of the wall to make this appear. But I'm going to show you my 1 second quick fix here is I just go here. I just go to this, I jump to plan, I jump to other, and I just undo the check down here for cut plane containing, just ignore the object. And then I also go down for the sill and do the same. Now this isn't the neatest, but if you're in a hurry, this will fix the problem for you. Boom. So just be aware that that means that that particular window, since I didn't copy, that window will now ignore the cut plane of the wall and thus the global cut plane wherever you use it. But if you're doing just a simple 1-floor residential project with no fancy windows, clear stories, and high glazing and all that, this is I think a fine way to deal with it. Okay, let's move on. I'll erase this. All right, let's go to slabs. So I'll go here. What I want to do is let's start with the slab out of the stock catalog. Let's just go and take a look at what they give you. So if we go to slabs here in the catalog, and I go to, say, a concrete slab on grade, and I just draw it out like this, and then O for ortho. I'd like to see concrete on that. If I go to high detail, I see nothing. If I go to presentation, I see nothing. Okay, so that's kind of why I need to get into that, I think. You should be able to have concrete show up if you want to. So let's go to ours. So I'll go back. And in our general tools kit, you'll see floor slabs, which just is our renaming of slabs because we think they're for floors. And we have a variety of concrete here. I'm going to go to a very common sort of terracotta here. Here's a terracotta at 90 degrees. So we expect when we draw it, I'm going to draw this out to 15 feet and up 15 feet, and then just O and return. Now I'm going to get out of presentation, just go to medium, so you can see there's, and then for high it's the same because it's 12 by 12 tile. So with low, boom, it disappears. So we'll just go back to medium. All right, so that's the kind of stuff I would expect whenever I grab a floor slab. I want to see the finished material, and I want to be able to turn it off if I don't want. Now we set this up so you can do that. So even in medium, if you go down to a slab pat, just turn off the layer, boom, it's gone. And you can change the color, and you can change the weight, and you can change the transparency. So you can have some good graphic control over how you want your hatch patterns to look if you want to use them. Now, why does this work? And the one that came out of the default catalog not work? It has to do with the way it was designed. So if I pick it here, notice on the properties palette, it's a 9¼ inch thickness. So that's the framing. So this is a 2 by 10 default. You can change that, but it'll always be the framing. Let's go right click and do an edit slab style and take a look at the components. So the way we design the components is that you have a finished material, a subfloor, insulation, and framing. So the only thing that has a variable here on thickness is the framing. The others are fixed, but you can modify them on the style. Now, the idea here is that we would want the floor finish to show the hatch pattern. I'm not looking to see plywood hatch or insulation hatch on my floor plans. I want to see the finished material. So if we go to materials, we'll see here's the floor finish, and it has a name that we came up with to match the render material. So hopefully this has been designed to present a hatch pattern, and we can check that now. So we'll go over here and we'll go to general medium, which is the one being used right now. And we'll take a look here. So in plan hatch, we can see how it was controlled by the layer. So that's how that is. It's turned on. So we just go to hatching, and we'll see plan hatch is set to a user W or user double, so just squares at 1 foot. So a 12 by 12 tile. All right, so that's why that is working. And notice back here, these are all turned on, so they're ready to go. If you want to see in 3D, you want to see the hatch, you'll see it in 3D. All right, so now let's go a little farther here. This is the slab style. I'm back to that. We'll go to the plan that we're in for the slab. And now we'll see why the material is taking control of the hatching. So you can see here we've set all of the options for by material, which we've done on most of our styles, is we're driving the appearance by the material. And so what you're seeing down here is that the hatch 1, as it's called, for floor finish is turned on. And that is why you see it the way you would expect. Okay, so that's it. If I turn it off here, I don't want to see it, it'll disappear. I'll do an undo on that. Now here comes an interesting problem, which will kind of walk me towards the next subject, which is the roofs. But if you take a floor slab and you decide, I'm doing a ramp, and I'm doing a ramp at about 1/4 per foot, it's like some kind of accessible ramp, weird stuff starts to happen, right? Like this. This is probably not what you were expecting to see. And you need to understand how these objects work in terms of display representations to fix this if you don't like the look. Now, of course, what's happening here is as soon as you put slope on a slab, being a roof or a floor slab, you're cutting through it, and it's the plan view is no longer really what you might think it is. Let's take a look at this in the right-hand view. So if I draw a line from 0, 0, and I shoot across the screen here, you can kind of see where that line is just touching through the finished material sort of here from the 0 point, and it fades out about here, but it continues to cut through all the way to here on that slab. So those are important things to understand about a sloped slab or a roof. You can carry this to a roof. So I'm going to go back to top view. Okay, so what I'm seeing is the only place that the cut is going through in plan view here, and it's showing me just that portion of tile. I can't really win in terms of a plan view. Now that you understand the way you're cutting through, it becomes a problem of a surface hatch over a plan hatch. So if we want to see the hatch come back, we're going to have to take a look at something else here. So we'll go and edit the slab. We'll go here, and first we'll go to other and see how this was set up. So our slabs are defaulted to 0. Okay, so the slabs go down from 0 down, assuming you're drawing your walls and then you draw the slabs, so the floor builds down. So setting it at 0 is assuring that we're cutting through the top of the slab. Now I could move that up. Say I move it up 1 inch. Let's see what happens. All right, so now in that cut where I showed before, we're now only cutting through at a 1 inch height. It's the same amount, because the angle is the same, so it's the same amount. It looks like about a foot here of material that we're cutting through. Okay, so you can see what's happening here. I'm not going to win with this technique. So I got to go back. Now, I could go on and on and on, and it's actually quite confusing. So I'm not going to get into depth. I'm just going to focus on the solution for this type of a problem rather than looking at all these different variations of things you can do in here. So what I've figured out over the years is what I want to do in this type of scenario is I want to set the cut plane. Now I could uncheck it. That's fair. If you want to do that, just understand what it is you're working with here. I like to do the override to control it, so it kind of has a behavior that I can understand based on the object. But you could uncheck this and just make sure your global cut plane is set at a height that gives you the results you want. But here, if I just take this and I assign this, like on the roofs I'm going to show you, I have those set here at a default of 20 feet. So what happens now? Okay, so it disappears completely. All right, so we'll go back. That's because I'm not cutting through anything anymore. So now we'll go to the layer color line type, and this won't matter because we're not cutting through it. I'm going to leave it on, but it doesn't function anymore. We're actually now going into surface hatch. So if I say, because it's 20 feet, if I say I want to see below the cut plane shrink wrap, I can turn that on, and let's see what happens. Okay, nothing changes, but I have turned that that shrink wrap on. Okay, we'll go over to the materials, okay, and we'll see here that for the shrink wrap body, it hasn't been set to show. Well, if we look here, what is it set to show? It doesn't have surface hatch on. That's because for our slabs, they were designed to do that color that I showed earlier. So what I could do is I could change that, or what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to set it to the same as the finished material. All right, so I'll go here and I'll find that finished material like that and then hit OK. And now we get it. And that is because what you're seeing is the shrink wrap hatch pattern or hatch material below that 20-foot cut plane. And so now it's not going to care. I can pull this out as long as I want. And it'll do the hatching that you probably expect. All right, now there's way more stuff you can dig into, obviously, but I think that's pretty much just getting right to the subject matter. But of course, you can play with some of these other options in here. But that's the trick that I've come up with, is just to assign a high enough cut plane that I get the shrink wrap hatch. And unfortunately, I do have to use shrink wrap hatch, and I do have to use surface hatching because it is sloped. And so you saw when I showed you earlier, there is no plan anymore that's more than a foot. So let's move on to the roofs. And I've pretty much explained everything that I need to say about roofs by talking about the slabs. But let's go to roofs. And here's a common roof that we have, which is, what is it here? It's should be, oh, this one is for open vaulted ceilings. So it has sheetrock underneath, then plywood on top, and then asphalt shingle. We didn't get into like felt or vapor barriers or anything like that. It's too thin to worry about, I believe. But I'll insert that. And now I'll go ahead and draw it over here. So I'll make this 15 feet. And then come up, let's say 20 feet. And then an O. And then I have that. So when I pick this, it defaults to whatever was the last slope setting. So I'll go ahead and override that and make it a 6 and 12. All right, so now that's a 6 and 12 pitch. And if you're surprised or hopefully pleased that you see a hatch pattern when you're drawing our roofs, it's because of what I just discussed over here. So if we look at this now, you can see, and it's showing in 3D as well. But it is sloped at 6 and 12, top view. And the reason that hatch pattern is showing, we'll go in here, is because on the materials, you'll see we set for the shrink wrap body, we set the same as the shingles pattern. So it's the same. So the finished material is being duplicated because we are anticipating that you're going to need the shrink wrap body to show the finished hatch pattern. Now, of course, there are cases, I suppose, where you want the roof to be cut or to show where it's cut through. I don't know. I never done that. The way that it shows by default, where you get like a cut line and then it's just dashed above. I always show the roofs in complete view, but if you need to do that, then you gotta sort of go farther into this subject than I'm discussing right now. If we go to plan, you'll see we set the cut plane to 20 feet as a default. You may need to go higher to fix that. And then over here, you can see the below cut plane body is what we've turned on, and we're driving the hatch by material here. You'll notice that's why there's no hatch pattern set to on for the roofing finish material, because it's actually being taken care of up here. All right, hopefully that opens some eyes on this subject. And of course, explore these other options, turn things on and off, and just see what happens. Yeah, that's it, and I'm out.